Hello, my friends. 3KO Games here, and today is the day. The Soul Exchange is live, and we've got these 15 heroes to think about. I encourage you to go out and watch some of the other great content creators and the videos that they've done about this Soul Exchange. I know a lot of them have done some stuff about heroes coming up to this, and pretty much we knew what this list was about a week ago. So I'll drop some links in the comments on this video. But here are my thoughts, and I think I might be ready to choose somebody. So let's go row by row. 10 heroes. You have 10 heroes that you don't use, some dupes, some low-level heroes, and you want to get rid of some get some roster space. Who's usable in this row? It all depends, right? But let's just talk about everybody. Akonia, I have Akonia. I use her sometimes. I don't think she's the best super elemental hero out there, but she's as a super elemental hero for just 10 souls. They're all, pretty strong. She's a little older. Stats lag back a little bit. Let's turn Max Power Preview off, and you can see where we're at before we add Emblems and Limit Break. Her special skill, fast speed, bleed-inducing daggers, summons a fiend to the target and holy enemies. So I do like using her when we have a bunch of holy enemies on a team. 250% attack every turn, which is not nothing. Even though her attack stat is not that big, it definitely is something. The fiend is just not very strong. If you have any healer and are going up against Akonia, you will get rid of those fiends in one heal. It's just 20% and it's gone. So there's that. But on the other hand, when that dagger fiend disappears after it has absorbed enough healing, the owner receives 810 bleed damage over 3 turns. I kind of forget about that. So there is that as well. Akonia, not a bad choice. 10 soul row. I actually think all of the purples are good. And probably the right price for each. But let's keep going straight across and take a look at Nemesis. Nemesis, and I'm keeping the Max Power Preview off. It just helps me to think about, as the newest heroes out there approach 1100 team power, just put everybody in perspective on what their team power is. It's not the end-all and be-all of analyzing stats, but it's just one number that helps me take a look. So anyway, there's Nemesis. For a real tactical player, her special skill can be interesting. If you are the type of player that just wants to bring in big damage and just not think about it and just bam, let's blast through, she's maybe not for you. But let's take a look at this special skill here that has the Styx 3 mana charges. It's going to deal 500% to the damage to the target. And then for 3 turns, each time an enemy's mana is increased by a special skill, status effect, level property, passive skill, family effect, or minion, they receive 250 damage. Mana is increased by a lot of different things, and she kind of covers all of them. So, you don't want to necessarily put her on your defense, right? But that's an interesting skill to have. Let's take a look at the second charge. Deals even more, 640% damage. All enemies are immune to new status effect buffs. for 3 turns. Attempted mana generation buffs will be replaced by a negative 34% mana generation for 4 turns. All right. Third mana charge is 680% damage to the target. All enemies immune to new status effect buffs 3 turns. Okay, we get both of them with the third mana charge. You get the status effect buffed immunity replaced by mana generation down, and then anytime they try to increase mana by a special skill and stuff, you get damage. Not useful on every single attack, but it's a nice snipe, and then a little bit of mana control, loose mana control. So there's Nemesis. I won't talk so quickly about the rest of them, I promise. But I feel like both of those could be interesting. Zenobia, I think the only reason to get Zenobia is, and you don't get this costume bonus, by the way. They keep showing costume bonuses, but you're not grabbing the costume. The reason to grab Zenobia is if you need help on your red Titan team, because she alters the power of all fire shields plus 64% attack. Or when she's on defense, shields become weakened with negative 57% attack. I don't think that special's strong enough to put her on your defense. But if you need help on your red Titan team, plus 64% attack added to the shields, pretty nice. She's also one of those heroes that hits the enemies on the edges of the formation. So there's Zenobia. Ullius, a newer Magic family hero. 2 mana chargers, 2 slightly different skills here. And they're summoning a minion and summoning a fiend. And I don't think these minions or fiends are great. 15% HP and 20% attack. And then that minion gives you plus 20% mana generation. It's the whole team. So that's something. But I don't think it's great. Second charge, all enemies get a cursed sigil fiend, 100% attack every turn, and disappears after 60% of health is healed, right? Is absorbed, and it gives them mana generation down. I'm not that interested in Ullius, quite honestly. If you are really interested in playing that minion fiend and just mana generation game, possibly, but not for me. Liadria, hero of the month from a year ago, another fiend summoner. This fiend heals every turn. That's basically it. But it heals 100 for every turn. And that is not affected by limit breaks or emblems. I think definitely no. First row. I think we're going left to right in desirability. Aconia is not bad. Nemesis, if you are particular about how you use her. Zenobia, if you need help on your red Titan team. The 2 on the right, I just think no. Next row, 15 souls. We have Becky. I think Becky is a good hero. And I think for 15 souls, she's kind of a bargain here. Both charges, because she's a magic family hero, both charges are good. First one is 350% damage to the target. And each time that target activates their special skill during 3 turns, the mana of all other enemies is reduced by 15%. So you have to hit a target that's going to use their special skill in the next couple turns, and then a target that you're not afraid of them firing their special skill. But if you can find both of those things, it's going to slow down the rest of the team, which is kind of nice. Second mana charge is like a Guardian Hippo thing. Increases the mana of all allies by 10%, and for the next 5 turns, this character deals 250% damage to all enemies anytime an ally casts their special skill. So that's Becky. Definitely worth it. Constance. Constance was really strong when she first came out. We had fewer heroes that ignored dodge or dispelled dodge at that point, because she is a dodge hero. She's going to deal 230% damage to all enemies, and allies get plus 45% chance to dodge special skills for 3 turns, and each dodge damages the attacker for a 100 HP. As I said, she was super strong when she first came out. Now you've got, Shay Zi Jing that'll dispel that dodge. You've got all of the astral elves that never miss their target. And so if you find yourself playing against a lot of those heroes, Constance is not going to stand up to them quite as well. But, when she first came out, she was super strong. And if you are still in the market for a dodge hero, and you don't feel like you're playing against a lot of astral elves and other people that bypass dodge, she's not bad. I think the rest of the row is meh. Quite honestly, Flip, it's an okay heal, 45% health. That's nice. Allies bypass defensive buffs, and then allies get plus 50 critical chance. I think there are better healers. If you are really searching for a healer, I guess she might be okay. I think for the cost you're going to sink into leveling this one up, you could just as soon, double limit break a 4-star healer, a Bold Tusk or a Kirill Toon or something like that, or Melindor Toon or something like that, and be at about the same level. Flip's not bad. Flip is a 10 soul hero, maybe. But not interesting for me. Thanatos, we have another healer of the Styx family. So we get those 3 different mana charges. This one recovers 20% health for all allies and gives them plus 24% mana generation for 2 turns. I know that a first mana charge is very, very fast, and is not going to be that impressive, but that just really doesn't do anything. Like, you just want to get to the second mana charge to do anything there. 20% health recovery, not much. Just not much. And plus 24% mana generation for 2 turns. I mean, it's just 2 turns. It's not enough to really do much. So no thank you from me on Thanatos. Archie, you are not getting the costume. And really, even with the costume, I was not that excited about the Archie costume when it was released last Springvale. 250% damage to all enemies, and enemies are immune to status effect buff for 4 turns. It's not a horrible skill. The status effect buff immunity is kind of nice. If that is a skill that you are really seeking, Archie might be okay. not too excited about Archie personally. So again, left to right in the 15 soul category, Becky and Constance. Becky is a definite for me. Constance is a maybe. And the rest of them are kind of meh. I think the purple and yellows all the way through are really pretty good. So now let's get to the 20 souls. These should be like, a huge bonus to your roster. So let's take a look. Rochefort, big musketeer hero, deals 565% damage to the target and minor damage to nearby enemies. The second bullet point is super important. If the target is defeated in 3 turns, all enemies receive 626 damage. I shared a war video once where I went up against Rochefort and struggling to get my healer up, so everybody was kind of low on HP. I was just about to heal, but then he went off, and then the next hero went off and killed that hero. And the combination of those hits plus this special skill wiped out my entire team. I was ready to, heal and like get my game on, and just wiped out the whole team. It doesn't always work that the target is defeated in the next 3 turns. Sometimes they just don't get defeated, or sometimes they're defeated by his 565% damage. In which case, if the snipe just defeats them, I believe the enemies don't get that bonus damage. But, you have defeated an enemy, right? It's just not extra damage to the rest. But still not a bad skill just for the sake of the snipe. Rochefort, definitely worth it on the purple side of things. The Queen. Her stats are pretty low, but she was always very, very strong. 330% damage to all is a nice bit of damage, especially at average speed. All allies get 10% mana every time an enemy uses their special skill for 4 turns. So your allies will power up faster, and the caster gets Vengeance for 4 turns. If Vengeance is dispelled by a special skill, all enemies receive 525 damage. I've never really understood what the heck Vengeance is, and so I don't know if maybe I just wouldn't bring a dispeller, because what is that? I just won't dispel it. Help me, I could just look it up too. But what does Vengeance actually do, except like make you don't dispel it? And it's just for her too. So it's not like, if you've got a dispeller of 1 or a dispeller of target and nearby, you might be able to get around that if there's something you actually need to dispel. That part of her special I've never totally loved, but I think she's still strong. That's the Queen. We've got Hypnos, Styx Hero. All enemies are immune to new status effect buffs for 2 turns, which is not a long time, but if you target that right, and get targeted at the right time, it can help you with a hero that's about to get taunt, or something else that's like a Dark Feather hit or Guardian Hippo type hit. They don't get it in those 2 turns, and it also does 220% damage to all. Second mana charge, it's going to dispel buffs first. Priority dispeller, nice. And then damage, and then make all enemies immune to their new status effect buffs. And then the third mana charge takes the second mana charge and just increases the turns and the power of the hit. So that's that. Hypnos, pretty good if you need a buff dispeller. We got buff dispeller and buff preventer, depending upon which charge you fire him at. Cell. I have an alliance mate that really likes Cell, and I just don't think she's great. She's one of the least exciting masked god heroes to me, anyway. This rock golem minion is kind of weird. It's strong, 40% HP and 50% attack. Nice. Gives the owner stone skinned every 3 turns. But after that turn, the next 2 turns, it can be hit just normally. So it's kind of a weird effect. I have been frustrated by this effect sometimes. But unless you really, really need blue, if you really, really need blue, I don't think your 10 or 15 soul hero are worth it at all. So then, yes, go with Cell. But if you just have 20 heroes and you're wondering who to pick, Cell is my least exciting choice for me. Finally, we have Xandrella, another super elemental hero. Deals 450% damage to the target and all ice enemies. So if you time that right, an ice-heavy team, or at least 2, then you're hitting 3. That's pretty great. And it then will automatically do more damage to the target and all ice enemies when their mana gets full, and then reduces their mana by 50% for 4 turns. So it's not a mindless attack per se, but sort of, right? It's a nice mana control hero at average speed that's going to hit at least 1 person. Likely is going to hit 2 people. If you have a deeper roster and, don't use her all the time, but you see 2 ice enemies on a team and then bring her in, then she's going to end up being controlling mana of 3, which is pretty nice. Also the nature shields give more mana when she fires her special. So there's a thing too. All right, that was a long spiel. Again, on those first 2 rows, I think the purple and yellow heroes are worth considering. Akonia, Nemesis, Becky, Constance. If you need another color, the 20 hero row is pretty good. I just don't think Zenobia, Ulius, Liadria, Flip, Thanatos, or Archie are really worth it. Let me know if you feel differently. Bottom row, I think just about anybody is worth it. I am most excited about Rochefort there, about Hypnos, and about Xandrella. The Queen lags behind a little bit for me, and Cell lags way behind for me. But again, if you're like, I need a blue hero, all right. So those are my thoughts, everybody. Let me know what you think. I am at a place where I could use another green hero, and I think this choice here, Xandrella, is great. I love playing with mana control. If you control mana, he's control the whole thing. So my choice is Xandrella. Let's grab her. Yes. Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all those things, and I hope to see you again real soon.